He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch the outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. Hi, my name is Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja. And if you're tired of chasing leads, handling endless objections, and feeling like you have to convince people to buy, then you're definitely in the right place. Here, we do sales differently. We believe in positioning over pressure, where the right people lean in without the need for pushy tactics. And that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method, a kingdom-driven approach built on trust, service, and true connection. Because when you lead with value, sales become effortless. And when you sell more, you can give more. Today's guest is someone who has built a healthcare brand from the ground up, starting with just $500 and coming to a close net worth of 9 figures and a vision that challenges how we think about the body, healing, and long-term wellness. He focuses on immune response, hormone health, and how early intervention changes outcomes for kids and families. Along the way, he has expanded into business ownership and invested in multiple successful ventures, all while staying anchored in a mission to rethink healthcare at its core. He brings strong convictions around health, personal growth, and the systems that shape both. Please welcome Dr. Patrick Flynn. Welcome, Dr. Patrick, to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. And before I get started, I just have to say I was sitting here sipping on my coffee, and that intro video, especially the countdown with the ninja, was fantastic. I'm smiling. It was great. I've never seen it. It was beautiful. I mean, great way to intro. That's fantastic. And I've been interviewed a lot, and that thing made me smile. I think more than anything. I've been
ninja hitting the numbers.
That's fantastic. So, anyway,
it's the little things in life, right?
It's great. It really is. It brings a good energy, a good smile to the face. So, yeah, excited and honored to be with you today, Jay.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I'm honored to have you here. So let's start from the beginning. Start from the very beginning. Take me back to the moment you started with $500 to get to where you are today, and what pushed you to get to where you are today.
Yeah, it's just a story. I grew up in a little small town of 900 people in northern Wisconsin, North Green Bay. I'm currently in Green Bay now. That's where my headquarters is at. And I was a sick kid. And I was diagnosed as a juvenile troubled child, and I had a lot of psychiatric things going on. And then what happened is this: the current medical field, even of today, would not only fails kids like I was a kid, but still does today. And I started to go in a different route and started to figure things out when I was a teenager. And then I grew up in a very poor family, and no joke, we lived way out in the woods and country, didn't have a lot of money. And then what happened was, but I actually had a story, and it helped myself recover. I went to college, got my degrees, started my first clinic, an office when I was in December 27, 1999. I had no money, I had no nothing, but I knew I had a great idea. I knew I had an idea that had extreme value. I knew the market would love it, and I knew I could make change in people's lives. And so I literally started my office in an abandoned warehouse. I actually talked to the owner and said, I don't have any money. And my mom, on her credit card, so $500 on a credit card, we went to Office Depot and actually bought some stationery, bought some stuff, bought some chairs. And the office, once again, was abandoned, but they had some rooms. I called the owner and said, hey, can I rent it? I don't have any money to do anything, but I'll back pay you 3 months if I can. If I can't make it work in 90 days, then I guess I'll shut down. And we exploded. We really did. And we started seeing people and getting great clinical results. The market saw as valuable. And no joke, I had no money for advertising when I started. You had TV, phone book, and radio, and I couldn't afford any of those. So I just had to get my message out to the market, and then the market started sharing with it. And we went from one office, next thing you know, another, next thing you know, across country, and then Europe and things like that. And it just came from my own story, and then the story evolved from there. And it hasn't changed in almost 3 decades now. Started, like I said, 27 years ago, and continues to grow from there.
Okay, wow, what an intro story. That is incredible. Small town of 900, sick kid. I don't know if he said troubled juvenile, grew up in a poor family, lived out in the woods, self-recovered and healed without any money or very little money. You started making change in people's lives. Let's talk about, so was there a health issue? Was it mental, physical for you? What was it?
Well, it was physical, but a lot of people don't realize that the physical manifestations that happen in your body lead to biochemical and lead to psychiatric things that way. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that I had some inflammatory issues going on that would change your biochemistry. Both men and women experience this. If you can affect your testosterone, you can affect your serotonin, and from inflammatory issues. Well, I didn't realize I had inflammatory issues. The doctors were, back then they didn't medicate like they do kids today. They would have had me on they would have probably diagnosed me as Asperger's today. What? And there's this. And then what they did is then I start to remove those inflammatory things and find out what they were. And then my psychology and my mindset and my hyperactivity started to change. And then I could start to focus. And I said, oh my goodness, I can't be the only person that suffers with this. And so then I started to figure those things out, saw that change. And then I'm like, okay, then I went and said, okay, now I'm going to go to college. And I had no money. I came out of school with 100,000 plus in debt.
Wow.
College is back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it never bothered me. Okay, now I think school debt, whole nother subject, is out of control right now, but it still never bothered me because I said, hey, listen, I have something of value. I do. I believe that all I had to do is learn to communicate it. So I started creating analogies of how I do healthcare a little bit differently and where my market would be. And I just started to share it, and people go, yeah, that is valuable. And then I started getting clinical outcomes. I started to where people didn't get them before. And then it just hasn't changed. And the next thing I know, I had doctors of all kinds coming and going, hey, how are you doing this? I'm like, well, here it is. And I started showing people. And then I realized that opening another clinic was successful. And I always liked the story of McDonald's. So I said, okay, you know what this is? I have a successful office. Why don't I build or buy the real estate? And so I started doing that too. And next thing you know, I have a whole real estate company. Next thing you know, I started doing this. And I'm very big into healthy organic food. And then an amazing chef said, hey, would you like to open a restaurant? And if you know anything about business, restaurants are one of the poorest investments there in history.
Yeah.
And it's been open for 4 years, and it's been growing massively every single year. We're looking at doing another one.
Wow.
And it's all based on the same principles. And because I think people confuse, like I said, they take something so simple and they make it complex. Business is just, business is just exchange of value. That's all it is. Because there's only 3 things you have to offer somebody: time, energy, or money. That's it. Vice versa. It doesn't matter if it's a personal relationship. Doesn't matter if it's a business. Doesn't matter if it's a friendship. The only thing you have to offer anybody is time, energy, and money. And they're going to exchange that time, energy, and money with you if you have some value. So I teach everybody, so listen, I don't care if it's a doc. I've fired docs on the spot because they weren't training, preparing, and being highly valuable for their customer, aka the sick person. Mm-hmm. And I'm like going, because if someone comes in and exchanges some value with you, you better be prepared and you better take that seriously as that customer, aka patient stuff, comes in with you, because they're exchanging their value with you. They went and worked extremely hard for their value and got some money. And now if you believe that you deserve that, then guess what happens? You better be trained and better be valuable, and there'll be a good exchange. And that's how business grows. And I did that with a restaurant. I had I have one of the first ever really fast food, high value organic restaurants where, for example, it's like speed and quality. Never get rid of quality, but speed. You understand? And it's like because of lifestyles today. You understand? And so in my real estate, I want to have the best looking buildings. I want to have the best quality. I want to have this. And then I have long-term renters and commercial stuff. And I have my own offices in there. So I think people complicate business too much. I think it's much simpler than people actually give it credit for.
Wow. Okay. I finally met someone who can match my speed in speaking. So
yeah, go really fast.
I have a mentor who's a /8, 9 figure coaches like you. He invested, I think, 90% of his ed tech business that he exited for 5 million into Bitcoin when it was 9K.
Oh,
so he's doing really well. Let's just say that.
yes.
So he one of the things he said, I won't name his name. I won't but he basically said, when he speaks really fast, he wants to say as much as he can in little time, because it's a waste of time, because time is money.
I like him.
So you love him. So you said something that made me smile. It made me chuckle inside, because I heard you say fast food that is organic, because that seems like an oxymoron. When we think of fast food, we think of like all the unhealthy foods that are not good. They have speed, but they don't have the quality. Tell me more about how that works, because like you said, it seems like in the restaurant space and healthy foods and speed and even cost, because typically people have to pay 2 to 5 times more. How does that work in your business model?
Well, you got to think this way. If you look at I think one of the greatest things that ever happened to healthcare, to any business, is the internet. Because now what happens is you can share a message out there and you can show people what happens, but also our lifestyles have changed dramatically. If you look at it this way, when I was a kid, you had some sports for a little bit after school, and you could still sit down with your family and eat dinner and things like that. Now you can't. So I said, okay, listen, then the market is going to say, okay, I want my kids to be in sports. I want my kids to eat healthy. I want this. So then how do we do it? Well, nobody's doing it. Well, I don't care if nobody's doing it. How do we do it? Everybody comes to me and tells me about the roadblocks. I'm like, so you got 2 choices. You can either stop, or you can become a bulldozer and knock down the wall. You say, and then guess what happens? I can honestly tell you, R&D, is very important. There's massive failures that we had to go through it that way. This oil you can't cook with because it oxidizes, and now it becomes just as bad as the other fast food. So you got to use this oil. You got to use these ingredients. Then on top of it, organic food spoils much quicker. So you got to make sure that and it's just a bunch of R&D that you sit there and go, but so when someone tell me it can't be done, I'm like, well, it can't be done now. And in fact, but we can figure it out. Remember when the 5-minute mile, they thought it was impossible, and then the guy did it. And next thing you know, within 10 years, everybody was doing it and stuff. And so it's like, so I just said, so that's why when you even said it, it's looked like an oxymoron. It's like, no, if you can train chefs and say, okay, listen, this is what we're trying to accomplish. And no joke, like right now, I just was told by the whole, food industry that you couldn't have good organic fries by an air fryer that's currently doing. Then let's produce another air fryer.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna have the greatest organic, crispy, healthy fries on the planet with specialty toppings and stuff like that, all like crazy that way. In my restaurant's like, well, but wait, the air fryers are, well, then we make our own air fryer. You know what I'm saying? If there's not a way, let's create a way. It's just that simple. The people told me when I went to school, is like, what you want to accomplish in your clinics, can't do. I'm like, why not? Who makes the rules? Who says that are the rules? Do you understand that? Let me tell you, everybody in the world, everything's made up. There's only 2 things I know. There's only 2 things I know that I will die for. There's only 2 things I know. And I've told, and my daughters are trained like this too. There's only 2 things I know: that there's a God and I'm not him. The rest is debatable. That's it. That's it. Everything else is a made up rule by some person that you thought was smarter. Well, who says they're smarter? You made that up too. And so I just said, and I'm trying to get people, the idea is expand your mind. Don't put limitations on it. Man, I'm just like, I can honestly tell you, I was kind of, I wasn't a person of faith. I was kind of atheistic until I actually became a doc. Because I'm sitting there going, there is no way that this is not intelligence. Like I had a great conversation with my daughter the other day, who's 19, and my daughters are absolutely amazing. My wife was told she could never have children, and I proved that wrong. We have 4 beautiful daughters. She was very sick too. It's one of my stories. Okay.
How many children?
4 daughters.
Wow.
2 international best-selling books based on those stories. Okay. I've proven it. But the idea is, I tell my daughter, she's like, Dad, and because we're all people of faith, so it's just us. I have no joke. One of my awesome, amazing employees right there, he's Jewish. Okay. Yeah. We love all my Jew friends. Okay. And I'm a person, and I have Muslim friends. I don't care what your faith is. I'm just more of a Christian person. That's what I believe. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we can all debate and have a great thing that way. No one's hurt because we have a difference in beliefs.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my daughter. She goes, Dad, how do you know that there's a God? I said, it's simple, honey. It's very simple. You can't have organization without intelligence. And the body is so intelligent. So it's so intelligent that if you think that happened by accident, you have to have a greater faith to believe that this body just happened by accident. And so that she goes, yeah, but even in different schools, they talk about the Big Bang Theory. I said, yes, honey, there was a Big Bang Theory. Me and your mom had 4 Big Bangs, and guess what? 4 of you guys came. Oh, for all my good Christian friends, that's a good, nice one. But it's kind of true. And my daughter laughed and everything and stuff. But no, see, that's the thing. And so when I approach healthcare, remember, that body is so amazing. It's like, and it will give you clues of what's going on. Stop thinking it's a broken down machine. You know, as people of faith, we should recognize that, and here's what happens. And there's universal principles that govern our body and govern our world. Now, I will say it's God. And that's just me. But you could say it's universe. You could say it's whatever. It's the air. That's fine. I don't care what you say. But there's governing principles that govern this stuff. And if you start to work with them, man, your dreams will come true.
I noticed right away, just on the onset of hearing you speak and the way that you speak, that you have a faith and a mindset that is not ordinary, and I mean that in the best way. That you think out of the box, and like you said, if there is no way, why not make a way? Why not? Everything is made up. So, how does one attain that kind of level of mindset where, I don't know if you're deprogramming from the matrix and renewing your mind through faith, or even backing up into childhood? Like, how did you come up with this kind of outside thinking, if that makes sense?
Oh, all right. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to tell you my greatest curse.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes I sit and have little arguments with God and just say, okay. And the idea of a man is supposed to always wrestle his faith. And I've always told people, I said, listen, I believe that God gave me the ability to see other people's gifts, and my job is to actually pull them out of them.
Yeah.
And the greatest pain that I ever go through is watching somebody's potential and they never live up to it. And sometimes, and I beg God for forgiveness because I'm kind of jealous and we're not supposed to be envious. I'm like, I wish I had your gifts.
Yes.
I wish. And I'm like going, no. And I know God gave everybody some inherent gifts. And I look at my job as a parent. I've never told my daughters what to become. I said, God has put something in you. It's my job as a parent to lead you and support those and get you to recognize that you have amazing power in some of this. And that's everybody. It's even people you don't like. I wish the people I didn't like, I wish they had no gifts. You know what I'm saying? But see, that's the whole idea. We're all connected. I always said, God, just let me hate somebody because I do a really good job for you. You know what I'm saying? And I can't, because I even look at the people I don't like and go, man, they're gifted and they're different than mine. And then if we can get people there, and I watch my daughters, I went from my daughter, they're 22 and 19 and 16 and 13. And they're so different, made by the same parents. And what happens is like going, and God puts something in them, and it's like going, okay. And I believe that the greatest business people look at every person that they're responsible for. Okay, I'm responsible for 400 plus employees, and go, it's my job to get every gift out of you. And do you get them out of everybody? No, you don't. And that's why sometimes people quit. Sometimes people don't like you, because in order to get that gift out of them, you got to cause them to self-reflect. See, and their mind is like in the matrix. It's like, no, remember, my job is not to actually program you. It's actually to deprogram you and show you what you're capable of. And you're in every person on this planet, man, woman, Jew, Muslim, Christian, doesn't matter if you're black, white, doesn't matter what your nationality is. You all have amazing gifts. And if you can bring that out in the people around you, you can build amazing things.
I feel like I'm looking at a mirror, right? A brother from another mother from the same father.
Yes.
Like you just said exactly how I live and what I believe, and the extracting the genius from every single person, because when you see the potential and it's being either wasted or abandoned or they're complacent, that drives me absolutely nuts. And I coach a lot of sports, hence the trophies, and people wonder, like, when we win championships, which happens quite often, I have parents literally saying, wow, we got really lucky. I'm like, I assure you that was not luck.
Mm-hmm. It was planned. It was planned. And the funny part is this, and sometimes it's hard that parents project, or business owners project,
to make sure that they're not, bring. Okay.
Oh,
can you see me and hear me?
There we go. We froze for a second.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
The government is trying to shut two great people down.
Right. Right. It's like spiritual warfare. I mean, when we're trying to get an incredible message to the world to help them realize their future potential in the present.
Yes.
And that's really God's plan. That's God's design. And you and I can attest to that. We believe in a designer and creator that wants you to know that you're loved, you're special, you're significant, and you're secure in him.
Yep. It's very true. It's very true. And the one thing that's so fun when you really start developing people. So people say, "Oh, Doc, your business did so well." Yeah, it did well because we developed people first. And then you develop people because then what happens is then you can bring a product to market. Because I don't care how talented you are. You're saying talent is not enough. It's not. And I do this on a regular basis because every week we call it our weekly connect. We do rise and grinds where it's like we shut down the whole company and everybody actually is in training just on personal growth and development.
Wow.
And it's like all across the country. Because you know why? It's like because what delivers our product is the best people. If you have a very good product with very bad people, you have a crappy product. If you have a very good product, if you have a crappy, and you guys know this, you can have a crappy product with great people and actually still do really well. You know what I'm saying? But that's why. But it won't less test time because you need to have you have a great product, great people. Now, guess what happens? You can go on for decades and build millions of dollars of net worth and money and things like that and live your dreams.
I think the way you do what you do because of who you are, human beings, that attributes to the amount of success, the relationships, and even like the responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. When you have 400 people and 4 daughters that you are responsible for, I think the word that you said that really was powerful is you have that leadership mantle of. My goodness, we are having some interesting outages here. This is the first time that this has ever happened in 180 episodes. So this is a new one. So this is the beauty of live podcast. This is real, right?
We love it.
So tell me, like, what is the secret sauce behind developing people? Because I think a lot of people do not know how to do that. And we're lacking leaders in this world, as you and I know today, that do that well.
Well, it's easier than you think. And see, people think it's so difficult. So for example, yesterday, I had a new doc that's going to be graduating here in September. So he's interning here at the office. And on the first day, and it's surprising because I learned this even with every employee. I sit down and look at him and say, and I looked them right in the eyes. And I was like, what do you want? What do you want? And I'm surprised now. I apologize. I'm not being critical, but I'm actually concerned that parents don't sit down and say, okay, honey, what do you want? I watch parents project what they think their children should do. I'm like, no, remember, your job is to bring their gifts out to them and what they can bring to the world and stuff like that. And and remember, and if you want to be a stay-home mom, guess what happens? You're going to find people that give you. You want to be a doc. You want to be a real estate. You want to be. You can find people. But see, my job, for example, when my daughters want to do something, I surround them with the people for them to accomplish that. And that's my job as a parent. That's my job as an employer. I look at the employees and say, "Tell me what you want," and you'd be surprised that. No one, my niece, I apologize, my nephew who married this amazing young lady, and her name's Allie, and she's employed here, and she started here years ago. And I sat down with her, I said, now remember, and she's part of my family. She married my nephew, but when you come here, it's like I said, all right, Allie, what do you want? And she's 22 at the time, and that was a foreign question to her.
I bet you, yeah.
I'm like going, how, it's like, and I'm sitting there going, oh my goodness, why do we not sit down and go, what do you want? You got one life to live. You got one shot, unless you're, Hindu or Buddhist and you come back to something different. I don't believe that, but that's okay. It's my belief. You got one shot at this.
Yeah.
So what do you want? And you'd be surprised that no one's ever sat down with, I'm telling you right now, statistically, I'll bet you 95, if not more % of people have never sat down with somebody in an employment, and in parenting, and in mentorship, say, what do you want? I'm trying to tell everybody what they should have. It's like, you're not them. You're not them. And it's like, so therefore, that's the first step. And without that first step, you're just projecting onto them what you believe they should do.
Let me just segue that to, and I don't know when and how people have maybe asked you that question. What do you want, Dr. Patrick Flynn?
Oh man, here's what happens. So if everything this way, I never want to die. Okay. So let me explain though. Let me explain. So therefore, I know I'm based on my faith and things like this. And wrong for all my longevity friends out there, and you're gonna die. You're gonna leave this earth. Okay. And so that I don't care how many technology and all longevity. I know some of the greatest things. I'll make it to 120. Great, but Jesus is still gonna take me home.
You don't think Brian Johnson's gonna live to 200?
No. Okay. And I think Brian Johnson's awesome. I really do. And I think but here's what happens this. But you know what's really funny? I'm never going to die because the principles and everything that I passed down, guess what happens? I think it's an embarrassment. Now, remember, I apologize. I'm going to offend some men here. Okay? And I'm not trying to, but I want you to think about this. This is how you get yourself to get out of that whole matrix thinking and things this way. I would be hugely embarrassed if I had a son that looked up to another man. You follow me in that? Okay. It doesn't mean that they can't have mentors as far as business, but if everything this way, even Tom Brady said, they asked, a kid asked him, who's your hero? He said, my dad. Now remember, he didn't learn football from his dad, but here's the point. When you have certain specific principles, and it's just really funny. If I say the Rockefellers, if I say the Kennedys, it's like, you understand that you spend time in school learning about other people's history. I think we've lost the concept of family legacy and tradition and things like that. My grandkids, it's really funny. I have a son-in-law. Fantastic. I have nephews, some of this. And it's sad that they look up to me. You saying they should be looking at that father figure right there should be there. And then then I can put them in position to like when my daughters want to do things that way. And I put experts in their thing, but it's their daddy's legacy and that mindset that guess what happens? It's like, they're going to be talking about our family generations, not about the Rockefellers and the Kennedys and the Trumps and things like this and the Bidens. All it's like, man, we've lost that. So I'm going to instill the things that it's going to be like my great grandkids say, man, when great grandpa Patrick was this, it's like going. So the thing is not dying from the mindset that can be passed down because this physical body, no matter how well you take care of it, eat organically, get adjusted, do all the great things, is going to end. But what the principles and stuff that you pass down can go for generations. And it's not just wealth, because wealth can be wealth. Hey, remember, we're old enough to remember Rick James, Superfly. Guess what happens? He went through $100 million on women and drugs, and you can get rid of money very quickly. Okay? But true wealth is really a mindset that's passed down from generation. And that's what we remember. So that's my leg. So legacy is what I'm working for. As far as money, I could have been done when I was 30. I'm 15. Okay. I still don't have to work today. I could never have to work. Okay. But the idea is legacy. That doesn't stop.
Incredible. When we talk about growth and health and wellness, and you are very big in helping people and even yourself reverse that sickness. What are, I don't know if you call it like some people call it software stack with regards to, when they're scaling businesses, they have AI and software. Do you have a health stack? I know this might be, maybe like, do you recommend certain things, not doing certain things? I know people are big on TRT, peptides, NAD, and all these different things. Like, what would you recommend to someone who's trying to develop strength and energy and focus and reverse age, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, one thing is this: you can't out supplement, you can't out TRT, you can't out medicate bad habits. Can't. Okay. If you're not sleeping good, guess what happens? Just you better be ready for a lot of drugs and different things and stuff like that because you're gonna have all lifestyle stuff. It's imperative. Ever look at even like Brian Johnson? Once again, if you don't clean up, and I look at the things that really disrupt your body. You look at I call it 3 T's: trauma, toxins, and thoughts. And women, I'll tell you right now, you better be very careful because that thought process can make you very sick, very sick and stuff. And men and women's physiology and biochemistry are very different. Women are affected biologically different than stress than men are. And that's why, for example, and women that are menopausal are different than women that are cyclic. Men are different and stuff. What it really comes down to is this: everything still starts with lifestyle. It really does. And so that's why, a person say, hey, doc, I want to do this, and this. Okay. Guess what happens? Well, I don't really sleep. I'm not going to change. I'm going to still eat sugar, stuff like that. But I'm looking and say, listen, I can't help you. You won't even help yourself. I can't help you and stuff. It's like, because during our current healthcare system has governed that, that's why I love the internet. When I first started practice, there was Jesus and the medical doctor right there. You're saying you never questioned them. But then what happened is the internet actually came out and said, we're getting lied to a lot. And then COVID came along and realized we were lied to a lot. And now what people do is, but see, we still live in a generation, it's going to take a couple generations yet, it's like in business, it's like in health, personal responsibility still dictates everything. I think companies are important to have a mission and vision. They are. But if you have a crappy person, you can point to the mission and vision on the wall and all the sayings. If they don't grow individually, no mission and vision is big enough with a person that won't grow. And the same thing in health. If you don't take self-responsibility, there's no supplement, drug, surgery, meditation, anything that you're going to do that's going to automatically change. There is no single thing. And just like, there's not one thing that makes you sick. There's not one thing in business that makes you great. There's so many multiple factors that contribute to it. And that's one of the things that people are looking for. That's why I love this one. Whenever I see somebody, here's the secret, I'm like, the secret is there is no secret. It's actually, we've actually, looked for these special things. I'm like going, no, you're already special. Now work on it. And it's going to take a lot of work and take a lot of things you got to do. And then once again, you can achieve everything you want.
Yeah, that was profound, because I think you're right. Like, we can talk about things that will fix or replace certain things, but without that lifestyle and even the mindset to even want to get help, because I talk to people that are near and dear to me that I love, that are not well, that are, have certain medical conditions that are chronic, but they say things like, I'd rather die happy eating what I want to eat, right? Like sugar, fat, fried foods, and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we're going to pay now or pay later. So I'd rather pay now and pay my dividend, do my due diligence and lean into my health, so that later I'm not going to save for it later.
Yep. I agree. But see, in our world, and you've probably seen this change through the time too. We've always had generations of people that just don't take personal responsibility. Everything in life, personal growth, health, success in anything that way still starts with the individual and their own personal growth and responsibility. Without the word responsibility, there is no duty. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's the thing. And that's the part where someone has God-given gifts and they don't develop them, because I can put you in an environment to grow, but it doesn't mean you're going to grow. You know what I'm saying? It still comes down to that individual personal responsibility. And yes, I can honestly tell you that, have I gotten better through the years to really pointing out the amazing potential that people have? And it's allowed me to help people grow that way. Absolutely. I have to do it every single day. Taking a person that was trained in school and get them to understand a bigger thing that they can accomplish that way. And then you help them do it. And there's some people that will just be in a comfort that they're there, because no matter what it is, and this is the one thing, and this is the message and this is why most people don't succeed. Growth is always painful. It's always painful, no matter what you want to do, no matter what you want to do. And everything you want is on the other side of that pain point. And most people never go through it. Nope, nobody does. I didn't want to start. I wish my parents had $100,000 to pay my student loans. I wish I could have started out a nice office. I wish I could have done all these things. I wish when I started my software and it cost me millions of dollars and I had to wait 5 years and things like this because of all the program, but it's that other side of pain that you have to get through. But we've been taught in our world today that we don't have to suffer anymore. I'm like, I don't know. I think God, by nature, even a good parent, lets their kids suffer, doesn't let them fall and break their leg, but they'll let them scrape their knee a little bit. It's like, and so therefore, anything you want a good relationship, pain. Well, no, that's not really true. Yeah, really? Disagree with your spouse once. You have to sit down, have a very painful talk. And yes, it's better on the other side, but that's why people. So I've always taught my team, love conflict, because conflict clarifies. Run towards. My favorite, what's really funny? My favorite story in the Bible isn't what people think. My favorite story is really simple. And I'm going to say it, and then people are going to think it's the little guy beat the big guy, okay? David and Goliath. That's not the part of story I like. The greatest part of the story in all translations is David was like, all right. When he finally got the go from the king, David did not wait. David ran towards the conflict.
That's right.
Ran towards it. He didn't sit there and wait. And it doesn't mean he wasn't scared. It doesn't mean that but he just said, I'm going to run towards the conflict. And most people sit back. I'm like, okay, you run into a roadblock, go through it, run towards it, don't avoid it. You can't conquer Goliath by sitting back, because both of the tribes sat there and just screamed at each other for days. And David came along and said, "Who's this moron?" He's saying, "Now I'm going to go get you." You know, if we're people of faith, aren't we supposed to take a little advice from that book?
So good. So good. You also mentioned earlier that you invested in other businesses. And what do you look for? Because obviously you're experienced and you don't make, decisions that are not going to help you grow. What are you looking for in terms of things that you're looking to invest into for expanding your wealth?
People. Yep. I have everybody do this on a regular basis. Because if you want to accomplish everything, you need other people. And I make people look at each other and say, I need you and you need me. And when people do this, when you ever notice, have your team do this. Have them look at you and say, look at the person next to you and say, I need you. They'll say, I need you. And then now say, you need me. They'll say, you need me. Do you follow me? They don't realize that they need other people too. And businessmen are like, I don't need anybody. I'm like, really? Really? Did you just answer your phone, or was that your secretary? It's this. So and you have to look at, you need every person. Do you understand that I treat everybody massively here and personal growth? Do you understand my warehouse guys for my distribution center, my cleaners, everything, they have to be in our rising grinds because I need them as much as they need me. Oh, by the way, they sweep the floors. Yeah, don't sweep your floors for 2 months and tell me that you don't need them.
Yeah, right.
So the idea is this, the concept of you need other people. I'm sorry. Remember we grew up, there was a TV show called The Lone Ranger. They should be sued for false advertising because they need Tonto. Lone Ranger needs Tonto. Okay? And so this concept that you don't need other people, this concept that you're so great. Watch this. Give me the greatest girls basketball team in the WNBA, okay? And take their best player. If they play one-on-one right now with Michael Jordan, guess what happens? She's going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
But if all 5 of them probably go against Michael Jordan, they're probably going to win.
Yeah.
Greatest ever.
Right.
Okay. And see, so talent is not enough. Talent is not enough. That's why you hear Jordan and Pippen. You understand? And it's like, you need other people. This concept that you're so great and you're a lone wolf, man, that's just egotistical. That's just me. I'm sorry. And I'm not pulling away from anybody's talents. We all have specific talents. We do. But you don't have every talent.
You're just putting a clinic on a masterclass on mindset and sales and health and wealth. Where do you think the healthcare is heading over in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, horrible. Absolutely horrible in every single way. Because we don't really have healthcare. We have corruption. I've been screaming that for 30 plus years since I was a teenager. As our healthcare system is so entwined, and COVID proved it all. COVID proved it all. You saw all the lies, stuff of that. And so until you get government out of things, government has a very good place. I've been involved in politics for 30 plus years. And to all my friends out there, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, corruption happens on both sides. I deal with it. I'm involved with it that way. Stuff of that's like, and what it comes down to is anytime that you have money involved with government, it always ends up bad. And thank God this is probably the best. RFK has probably been the best person I've seen in my lifetime. And still what he has to deal with daily. Most people would quit. He's going against, people say, oh, look at all the big oil, look at all the big tech, pharmaceutical companies dwarf all that spending, dwarf it on lobby and stuff of that. As I said, COVID was a very devastating thing because look what they did to people, and they realized that how corrupt the system was. And corruption always wins, always does. It always does. You're not, and therefore you need good people to fight it, but they're just too big and too powerful. That's why if you ever notice, one of the big debates in every, with the exception of, wars and stuff like that, is always healthcare. Who's going to pay for it? What's going to happen this way? This. We're going to take care of all things that. It's like, it shouldn't be an issue. Healthcare is an individualized responsibility. And this is where I think that I will get a little sassy and stuff, but also understand that, when people have differences of opinions, and this is where, and I'll ask a simple question to all my friends, both Republican, Democrats, liberal, conservatives, atheists, every aspect of this way. I ask this one question to everybody when it came to COVID or anything, who should make the healthcare decisions for you and your family? You or the government? Jay Lee, you would say you. You know, everybody can debate who can pay for it, but I'm saying, but you still would make your own choice. When the government steps in and tries to make the choice for you, now all you have to do is who controls the government then? You know, you ever saw doctors don't control healthcare? COVID proved that. You say, and then most of them are programmed within the matrix, so they just follow what they tell you. I know a lot of medical people. I coach them. I deal with them. I do things that way. And so and then you have somebody comes in and changes it. All you have to do is plant a seed of doubt. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's why when you hear about RFK, well, he killed the bear. Okay, so what has to do with his policy decisions in healthcare? You know what I'm saying? So they try to bring up when you can't attack the message, you have to attack the messenger. Always remember that. That's why I tell people, everybody by nature is racist. Everybody is. I am. You are. Everybody. I can prove it to you. Yeah. Okay. Because you know why? The minute that you don't like something that somebody says, you don't attack the message, you attack the messenger. It might be their race, it might be their gender, it might be their political views and stuff like that. So and that's what I tell people. Well, then you'll actually, well, this person said this. And it's like, you'll attack their personal features. You'll attack that, this. And they're like, well, that's not racist. Yes, you are. You're being discriminatory. It's something that's different than you. Okay. We've all done it. You know, Sam. And so that's why I tell people, never look at the individual, look at the message. Because if you can't argue the message, guess what happens? The only thing you can argue then is the messenger. And that's where personal attacks come from, you know? So I tell people, I just keep on sharing a message. That's it. And the worst they can do is like, they'll try to, you know, and when they don't agree with you, instead of debating specific issues of healthcare, of business or anything like that, what do? They turn to a personal attack. So always remember that. When they can't argue the message, they have to attack the messenger.
Powerful. You talked about corruption and the pharmaceuticals and government, all this stuff. They always win because they're too big and powerful. And it just, you know, reminded me of David and Goliath's story and God's calling on your life and my life and our lives. So do you feel, or what do you feel is the mandate for you to be the David in this Goliath arena where, you know, the giant always wins?
Yeah. Well, you got to remember is you have a certain call in your life. I didn't put it there. God did. It happens, and he's gonna give you the tools, the capability, the mindset, the people, and things like that. But guess what happens? This, you know, this is something personal. I have nothing to prove this. It's almost like God has a call in everybody's life, and if you don't do it, he's gonna ask somebody else to do it. He's gonna pass you up. And so I tell people, always be preparing, because as Warren Buffett said, when preparation, you know, when opportunity comes, preparation is too late. So we always have to be preparing every day. Or Doc, you prepare 7 days a week. Yes, every day. I don't even know. And people say, well, don't you ever just want to, you know, kick back and relax? I'm like, from the life I created, I'm actually more pumped up. I just wish there was more hours in a day. Yeah. I'm like, don't you? I got to recharge my batteries from the life you created. You're the architect of your life. And it doesn't mean, and here's what happens. My daughters have a head start. My daughters, because of the wealth and everything I built, if we run a 100-yard race, they're starting at 70-yard line. I started at 0. Yeah. You know, we didn't even eat a lot of beef when we were younger. We actually ate squirrel, rabbit, game, and stuff like that because we lived off the land because we were poor. Okay. So I understand that starting at 0. So that's why when people say, well, you don't understand, I grew up in the hood. Okay, great. Your circumstances are different. My daughter has a way head start on you, but it doesn't mean that here's what happens. But if you don't come from money, then you should actually allow your kids to come from money. You have a personal responsibility and stuff like that. And then when men say, well, I started, tell me how I started. You know what I'm saying? You saying? And because of the way I train my daughters, they're not going to become the Rick James of now when they have the opportunity that they're going to blow it because they weren't prepared. My job is to prepare my daughters. That's why if you ever look at prepared people, they seem like they have much more maturity. They have all the answers. They're just prepared that when something comes up, all of a sudden, if you look at like a lottery winner, okay, all of a sudden they win it, all of a sudden, or an NFL player, they're broke within 5 years because no one prepared them because they babied them. And all of a sudden they're given wealth and it destroys them. That's why I said, watch out for stars, because stars all burn out. You know, but you know what's really funny? The most sexy word on the planet is still consistency. It's the most consistent. People are predictable. People are like, I know what Doc's going to say. You saying? And it's like, but no woman gets up. There's no Disney movie that says, man, there's no woman gets up more and said, God, please, Lord Jesus, please send me the most consistent man you have. You know when women love consistent men? Is actually when they got to build a life with that man. So that's universal across the whole board that way. So yes, I still even forgot the question you answered me now. Ask me now. So anyways.
That's so good. We have a lightning round because we're running out of time and I want to respect yours. So whatever comes to your mind that, you can just say right back. I'm just going to do a lightning round to ask you some questions. What's one belief about health you strongly disagree with?
That men and women are the same.
The best business decision you made early on?
Knowing I need other people.
Say that one more time.
Knowing I need other people.
Okay. A daily habit that keeps you sharp?
Sleep.
One lesson you learned the hard way?
Most people are evil.
One piece of advice every entrepreneur should hear?
You're capable more than you think you are.
And the last question is, how do you sell more to give more in a healthcare setting?
Increase your value.
And that's a wrap. So thank you guys for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. Now go apply what you learned from Dr. Patrick Flynn and team to your next sales conversation and practice leading with clarity, calm, and service. If you're ready to master faith-driven sales psychology and close high-ticket deals with integrity, head over to gosalesninja.com and join the free training. We are here to help you serve with confidence and serve from a place of purpose. Dr. Patrick Flynn gives a free 10-minute consult through his team. So you can connect with him on, I believe it's Facebook here, and you can connect with him on Instagram, and you can connect with him on LinkedIn. And here is his website at thewellnessway.com. And to get your complimentary 10-minute health consultation, you can go to thewellnessway.com/consult -a-doctor. So thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Flynn, for sharing your faith, sharing your story, and incredible adventure of how you are raising up the next generation of your 4 daughters and 400 plus employees and many more to come.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me today.
God bless. We are